My name is Marco, and today I want to talk about why more than 95% of all Shopify store owners aren't successful, many of them not making a single sale at all. So, a little bit about me. I've been doing e-commerce for around 1.5 years. I've been in online marketing for a few more years than that. And in the last month, maybe like around the last half year or something, I spoke with more than 300 store owners using Shopify or WooCommerce or other store platforms. And well, some of them being my clients, some of them being just random people asking me stuff, some of them in Facebook and Skype groups. And by doing so and by getting more info from other sources, I got the impression that there are a lot of very, very common things that in the end lead to non-successful stores because at the moment, Shopify and e-commerce is a very big topic, so I decided to make this video and start this channel about the whole business and the whole industry. So let's get started with the 4 main reasons, in my opinion, why most of the Shopify or general e-commerce store owners aren't successful. And let's start with oversimplification. Oversimplification is a very important thing when it comes to e-commerce because right now, with all these YouTube gurus and courses and tutorials, it seems that really anyone can make quick money with Shopify. You know, it became so easy just using Shopify, AliExpress, or in Facebook ads together, and in the end, you will get money. So this is the message that many people on YouTube, etc., are basically delivering. But let me tell you now the 4 most important things regarding oversimplification, why people are not successful. And first of all, this is the perception of no investment needed. While this is true in many cases, if you do dropshipping, because dropshipping either requires just a very small amount of money or no money at all, because you can play with your customers' money, I saw many people getting problems because they didn't assign a proper budget to the whole thing. So whether it is that I don't know, PayPal or another payment processor holds your funds for a few weeks or days and you are not able to pay the supplier and then you face some problems and so on, or whether you exceeded your marketing budget and now you don't know how to advertise and how to go with your store further. There are so many things that can be underestimated when it comes to the budget and to the overall investment. And people think that they maybe just need $50 to pay for Shopify and maybe a domain and some $5 a day Facebook ads, and they're good with it. But very often, the investment you need is higher. Of course, if you buy in bulk, what I do most of the times, the investment is even higher than just $100 or $200. But even if you buy in bulk, you can usually make big purchases with, let's say, $300 to $400 already. And this is something I recommend for many people because dropshipping became very competitive in terms of non-customizable products and so on, but this isn't the scope of this video. So the no investment needed perception is something that you should think of when you start a new business. So rather put some money aside and be ready to use it when you face problems with advertising or when your advertising budget isn't big enough. Be ready to invest a little bit more to get more insights, more data, and so on. The next thing is the no experience aspect. Many people start this business without knowing what's going on. They never been in e-commerce before. They never used advertising in many cases. Sometimes they didn't even own a website before, and yet they think that they don't need any kind of time to get into the business. So many people think that it's enough for them to, you know, start a shop and then wait a week, put some money into Facebook, and you will see results. But obviously, this is just not how all the business works. Even though I agree that there are people who just opened their store and maybe saw sales just the next day, this is possible, of course. Most of the people don't, and most of the people won't at all, because it requires so many things from targeting, choosing the right audience, presenting your products, improving your conversion rates, having an overall positioning of your store, and so many aspects, as well as the financial aspects in the background, like taxes and so on. There are so many things included in Shopify and the e-commerce business that it's just ridiculous to think that without any experience and without any yeah, and without any time that you give yourself to learn all the stuff, it will be almost impossible to be successful in a short amount of time. So if you start the business, please plan some, yeah, at least let's say something like a month where you just try around and play around, spend some advertising money here and there, and improve your business, learn more things, but don't expect results after a week or so. So don't post on groups saying that you have been advertising for 3 days now, you spent $15 and you didn't see any sale. What the hell am I doing wrong? So this is a very common statement I hear all the time. People who spend 10, 15, $20 on their whole project sometimes, because they also have Shopify for free and stuff like this. Well, then I can just say, what are you expecting? After 3 days of being in the business and after $20 of advertising, how can you expect, getting your sales already coming in? Because that's obviously something that requires work, that requires skills in advertising, in building ad copies and stuff like that. So please give yourself time and put time and effort in the business before you expect this really nice result. The next thing is basic and oversimplified advertising, because on YouTube these days all people glorify the use of Facebook advertising, and I completely agree. Facebook is a great platform, even though I didn't use it with many of my stores, but all in all it is a great platform for advertising, especially because you have so many options and possibilities to segment your audience. But it's not like the holy grail to the ultimate customer. So it's not that the people on Facebook are just waiting for you to put some banner ad in front of their faces and collect their money, right? So it's not that all the people on Facebook sit in front of their computers or mobile phones with their pocket open and just wait for you to present a banner in front of them so that they can throw their money at you. For some businesses, it may make more sense to use other channels like Instagram or forum posting or blog articles or Bing ads or Google AdWords or affiliate marketing or solo ads or banner ads or whatever. There are so many possibilities, but yet most of the people immediately go to Facebook, only try Facebook and nothing else. And if Facebook doesn't work, well, then the business doesn't work and they have to choose another product. This is something that many people think and that many people also think is the only way to do it. But the oversimplification of advertising, while advertising and marketing is basically one of the most important, if not the most important part of the whole business, is just a completely wrong way. So you can't oversimplify the most important part of the whole business. And the last aspect of oversimplification is the illusion of the non-informed customer. People think that their customers are just waiting for their specific product, even though they offer what anyone else does and for a price that it's not even competitive sometimes. So why would the customer buy from you immediately if your store looks completely replaceable, if you have a non-competitive pricing, if you have non-competitive shipping because your delivery takes 30 days with AliExpress, and your product is completely standardized? You don't present it accordingly, you don't have a unique story around your business, you don't have a branding, you don't have social proof, you have basically nothing, yet you expect that people throw their money at you just because you have a store. But people see ads and banners and stores almost like every minute as long as they browse social media. So how can you expect that you, as a very randomized store owner, get all of their attention? So even though it's quite hard if you do dropshipping and have a low budget to completely differentiate your product, I agree. But since you can't do that, you should at least try to differentiate your overall appearance and your brand and your shop so that it makes a more unique and more interesting impression for the customer. Because if they see all the standardized and very oversimplified shops where many people miss a lot of things and there are like 5 products for different target groups. Here is a blood bracelet, here is the animal t-shirt, and there you have I don't know, a ring, and there is a belt. Well, why would the customer buy from you when he has like thousands of other sources where he can get it cheaper, higher quality, with more variety and something like this? So try to get yourself in a more unique position, or at least in an improved position. You don't have to completely, individualize your products, but try to make a more unique user experience overall in your store. This can help you a lot to leave a continuous impression on your customer. So now let's go to the second part of not being successful with Shopify, and this is the lack of persistence. Many people just work on their stores for a few days, 1 week, maybe even 2, and the sales they get are not satisfactory for them, and then they think, okay, I have the wrong niche, I must try something else. And this is, of course, something that can't really lead to success. So they are just hopping from one project to another. As long as a project didn't make the sales they expected, they just jump to the next one and hope for the best. Most of the time they didn't learn anything new from the old project because they were just doing it for 1 week. They didn't get any very relevant data. So basically they start at the same point again, and it's some kind of lottery whether they become successful or not. Because if you just try it for 1 or 2 weeks and then go to the next one without having gained a lot of data, which you can't if you just pay $5 a day on Facebook, it's more or less gambling whether your store will be successful or not. And I agree, this can be a strategy if you test a lot of different niches, but by reducing the time you are in each niche, you reduce the likelihood of being successful enormously. So if you just are 1 week in niche A, 1 week in niche B, it's very hard for you to become successful and to start getting to know your audience and stuff like that, which would make it easier for you to succeed. So every day you spend in your niche, it will become easier and easier for you because you gain more visitors, you gain more insight on your metrics, on your analytics, you get more insights about your market and stuff like that. So this is something that you should definitely avoid, as long as you, or at least as long as you don't have very strong reasons to do so. For example, if you really get absolutely no engagement and the product seems to be absolutely dead, but don't do this too early. The next thing is always looking for the perfect niche. People come to me and say, what should I sell? What is the perfect niche? Everything seems to be saturated. And this is something where I can just say, well, there is nothing such as a perfect niche, because you are not someone who sits right at the innovation. You are not someone who sits at these Chinese fairs where they present their new products and you collect them and be the first in the Western world to sell them. You are just someone who visits AliExpress or Alibaba, where there are hundreds of thousands of these products listed already, and you are just another one who sells them. So the moment you know about a perfect niche with very high demand and very low supply, like at the moment you know this, there are already so many people doing it that at least in the latest, in a few days or weeks, the latest, it will be already saturated again. So it's not the niche that necessarily makes your business successful. It's more like how you work with that niche. So how you present your products, how you advertise it, how you advertise them, how you brand them, how you make your user experience. So I agree that there are some niches who work better than others. So for example, at the moment, all these bracelets and fashion stuff is so extremely competitive that it's very hard to make good sales with them. But of course, if there are niches with high demand, but not so crazy competition, these are better than others. But in general, there is nothing such as a perfect niche where you don't have to do anything else except for choosing this particular niche. And another thing is the make money fast mindset. This is pretty similar to the first one, and this is about wanting to make your investment back as soon as possible, even though sometimes, often there isn't even an investment, and that they want their money so fast that they already think about automating the business the first day already, and that they are just counting the minutes when they make their first sale, and they don't try to build something long term, or they don't invest their time and money into a real business and a real brand, a real store. They just think how they can get to their first sale as quick as possible with the lowest amount of money possible. And this is nothing bad per se, but if you do this too extensively, this make money fast mindset, if you have this too extensively, this will damage your business because you just plan or just think over the next weeks, maybe even days. And with this mindset, it's very hard to succeed with your store. So the third chapter of not being successful is no positioning. And this is another very important part, because by now, where people are flooded with information about products and services and all kind of online offers, it is important to position yourself in a certain range, in a certain category, so that people immediately know what you stand for, what your product stands for. If you don't do this, if you just have a randomized store, non-branded, with random AliExpress products you can find everywhere on the internet, with the same pictures, with the same phrases all over the website, like we have the best bracelets in the world, well, in the mind of the customer, you are just one of thousands, and they think, well, why should I buy from him instead of like Amazon or a shop who does very nice advertising and branding? So, yeah, like I said, the randomized storefronts gives the customer the impression that he just landed on a shop that he might leave immediately, because there is no engaging pictures, no engaging videos. Often there aren't any nice and catching testimonials. The products aren't presented in a special way. There are so many things that are just average or below average that make the customers think, wait, well, why should I buy here instead of Amazon? Because people, if they visit your store, what they want is they want unique customer experiences. Especially if you're in a niche store, you can satisfy your customer needs for niches way better than Amazon, for example, because Amazon has the very generalized user experience. They don't offer specific videos or marketing which emphasizes the product and which gives the customer additional content and information. They just have this very generalized sales pages. And this is the point where you, with your store, can stand out. So if you just do what the big retailers do with generalizing your store, you will have problems, because the advantage you have over them is something you don't use, because you oversimplify the whole thing and you make it non-unique, non-special, and nothing like that. The other thing is replaceable products, and what I mean with this is that they are replaceable regarding price and differentiation. So you don't offer a better price, but you also don't offer differentiation. And what I mean with differentiation is not that you build your own product or that you make your own product changes to it, because obviously this is something that most of us can't do. But what you can do is, like I said before, you can present it in a special way, you can position it in a very unique way, you can do very creative advertising, you can use different advertising channels, influencers, you can build a brand, you can do so many things to get a higher value in the customer's minds. But if you do none of them, and on top don't have competitive pricing and don't have competitive shipping, it will be very hard for you to gain long-term success with your business. So I agree, you can be successful without having any of these in a competitive way, but this is of course not the usual, not the average store. So I know stores who are successful even though they have high prices without having the differentiation which would justify the prices, but these are very, very rare. So usually you have to be differentiated in some way, and you have tons of options to differentiate. So it's not that you have to make custom changes to your product or something like this. And yeah, we talked about this, the just another random store in the customer's mind. It basically refers to the first 2 points, that they think, okay, I've won it just in another store. It just looks like any other store, and well, the offer they have is not that big, the products they have are not that unique and not that cool for me, so I might just leave. And this is something that many people think when they visit stores. Well, they just think, why should I stay here, and they leave then. One reason for this is the information overload, because they get so many offers that many of the offers they get are better than yours, and as long as you don't catch them in any way, they will be gone and not buy from you. And the last thing I always emphasize is the lack of strategy and concept. I don't want to exaggerate the meaning of these both things, because most of you just have very small online stores and you do them to generate small side income. And to do this, you don't necessarily have to have an extensive strategy and concept, but it will help you in general to pursue your goals and to go along with your business. Because if you have unrelated actions and you just do, you know, you build your store and then you throw some ads on it and then you gain some visitors, but you don't have the coherent strategy of what you really want to do. Because many people just say, okay, I want to have a successful product, so what should I need? Well, I throw wallets and jewelry and pet stuff and electronics in my store, so I have the most products I can possibly have, so I can potentially reach a brighter audience. I throw all of it in one basket, then I throw some advertising money from Facebook in it, and it will just work. But this is very incoherent, and this is very hard to realize, because your chances are in niching down your topics and in satisfying special customer segments, and not in just doing random stuff and doing random actions after each other. So throwing in some plugin here and throwing in some money from advertising here, but then suddenly change everything and do another product and put another thing in. And this is a thing that you should avoid if you really want some long-term or at least mid-term success. And this is not following the line, not non-related actions when it comes to your advertising. And yeah, well, that's it. The presentation is over. I just used it so that you have something to look at when you follow this video. I hope you liked it, and I hope that I didn't sound too demotivational for you. I just wanted to point out the 4 top reasons for not being successful with Shopify from my point of view, from what I saw during the last month and hundreds of people approaching me with questions and so on. To somehow stand out the crowd, try to be a little bit different when it comes to your store. I know it's not that easy, but it will help you really, really much. And even though I know that this is kind of an overview and a very broad information, I hope this will help you to improve your further business. So thanks for watching. In the next videos there will be a lot of interviews, best practices, case studies, marketing strategies, and so on. So a lot of stuff, so stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more, and